Let's see if we are live here. Hey, folks. Thanks, Amos, for a grin. Thanks for joining the broadcast. I'm just waiting for Jon to call me. We're live. And, yeah, this should be a fun episode. We're going to talk about your bootstrapping wrong. Why we're bootstrapping wrong. All right. Oh, hold on. I got to get this one. All right.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Oh, you know what? This is a perfect time for me to make sure that I'm recording properly. So just give me a sec. You can say hello to Amos for Grin, who's watching on Periscope.
Welcome.
All right. Yep, that sounds good. So I'm going to start recording again. The one thing about this live recording setup is it doesn't record this mic super great. So, yeah, well, how are you doing this is like the pre-show. This is for the mega fans here.
The bonus content. I'm good. It's warm in this room again. I don't know. Tried to turn the AC up, but I don't know which one it is.
There's a lot of panels in that office, isn't there?
There's a lot of knobs and panels and dials and widgets, and I'm good.
It's good. Still smoky here, man. There's airlines that are offering get out of BC packages. So you know that things are bad when that's what's happening.
How are you faring? You gotta go outside with a mask and everything?
Well, I mean, technically we should be. It was getting better, and then it got worse, and yeah, it's just kind of not great.
It's not great.
I'm just going live with Jon Buddha to talk about Did you see the notes?
Yeah.
Episode 26. You're
I'm looking at
bootstrapping
those.
wrong. Talk about. Maybe I'll even put this here. You're bootstrapping wrong. That's just a clickbait title. Oh, Lorenda's trying to call me. Hold on. No. Gotta say no. I gotta figure out a way to. Hold on a sec here. What's going on? I'm recording with Jon Buddha right now. Hey, folks who might be watching this, we're just about to get going. This is our podcast, weekly podcast, Build Your SaaS. You can find it in your podcast player. Just search for Build Your SaaS. We're on all of them. And this is the show where Jon and I meet every week and we talk about kind of what's going on as we bootstrap this product and all the trials and tribulations and victories, and last week we crossed $1,000 in MRR. I actually got a nice message from Josh Pigford, who said, hey, congrats. He said his first product not first product, actually he just released a big list of all the things he's ever done. Did you see that?
No.
Oh my God. Here, I'll find it for you. It's worth checking out. I'll bring it up on the screen for the folks at home too, but yeah, it is. It's crazy. Here it is. We were talking about it in this Slack chat. Oh yeah. So I'll put it on the screen here and share my screen. Oh yeah, and I guess I gotta show folks that I gotta show you. I gotta duplicate all this work here. Okay, but for folks at home, that's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna give it to Jon in our private Slack. But yeah, it's over 50 projects. What's cool is that he goes through everything, like all of the things he.
Wow.
All of the things that didn't work, all of his failures, all of the how much money he made. What happened. Sold it after 6 years for $19,000. Shut it down. He had tons of things that got shut down. The Apple blog in 2004 got sold to GigaOM for $75,000.
It's a lot of stuff.
He had one he sold for $700. It's just a ton of stuff. And some folks might look at him and go, "Wow, Josh, like you've created barometrics. Everybody knows who you are." But Pop Survey, where is it? Pop Survey was a survey app. He made nothing from that sale. And he says, I was just saying, we got to $1,000 MRR with Transistor. And he's like, it took him a year to get to that with Pop Survey. So we're ahead of one of his projects.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty great. I mean, everyone thinks you build something and it becomes popular and you didn't do anything before that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what's great about that list is that it just gives you perspective of, what it really takes.
Since 2003. I mean, God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's about when I started.
Yeah.
Doing stuff.
I started in 2008.
Yeah.
I'm a late bloomer. Hey, Brian, how's it going, man? Thanks for showing up to all my live streams, Brian. You are the most prolific for sure. Brian's watching from YouTube. You can't see this, John, but I can add overlays now. So anytime someone makes a comment, I can overlay it on top of our screen. Here, I'll send you a screenshot just so you can see. Just doesn't seem fair that you're left out.
I'm missing out.
Cool. So, yeah, anything else we want to talk about before we get the episode officially underway? I mean, if you want to talk about something private, I can mute the mics again and we can...
Nah, we don't have to right now. Nothing private.
Private.
Just, support requests and features we had come in.
Yeah, I think that's one thing people don't realize is how much support it takes once you launch something. Like even for us, we have like 60 customers and it's a lot of support.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I would say it's not. Yeah, it's a lot. I think it seems like more than it is, maybe, but it just takes you away from whatever else you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Mario, how's it going, man? This is, if you're just joining us, this is the Build Your SaaS podcast. We're live streaming it just as a part of an ongoing experiment. I think one thing about podcasting is some folks are always going to want to hear the audio, but there's some folks that might want to show up live and, say, hey, what's going on here? Like be able to interact in the comments a little bit. I think you have to be willing to expand your horizons if you're just a radio person. And in fact, we can kind of see this from radio. The radio folks are all broadcasting live now, right? Like they all have live video streams.
Right.
And
I noticed that.
I think that's kind of the way it is. You've got to meet people where they're at.
I guess I haven't really watched. Well, I've watched a few live streams, but I don't do it that often.
Yeah, I've been getting more into it lately because I think, especially now that I've been doing some live coding, dumbprogramming.com, by the way, I bought the domain. John has already seen, I think since John and I have partnered up, I've bought 10 domains. I also bought dumbprogrammer.com. But, the live streams have been so great for my education. I'm pushing myself. I'm putting myself out there saying I'm trying to learn some programming. It's been, I just haven't pushed myself enough in that regard. And people are showing up and helping me live, making suggestions.
That's awesome.
And it's really awesome. Yeah, the collaboration part of it is so fun. So, Yeah, I think there's something about this live thing that makes sense. Some of the most popular podcasts do some form of live streaming. Accidental Tech Podcast does that, and that's and the reason is because they want to be able to interact live, chat with folks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, I think the most live things I've watched recently are like space launches, SpaceX, rocket launches.
Yeah, no, that's
Those
a
are
big
fun.
one. Here in our co-working office, often a lot of people will put those up and start watching them. Yeah, I've watched those. And now that I think one thing for me is I'm always interested where are the people at? And this Twitch phenomena that, has been going for a while, it just makes me, it makes me think I got to kind of check this out. I got to see what all the hubbub is about. And the fact that there's such a technical audience there and more folks are, doing it there, live programming, not just gaming, but anything kind of technical they're streaming there is interesting. And so, if we're not going to get to, do you know who Ninja is?
I've heard. I occasionally go to like gaming news sites and those kind of things. I see headlines with these people's names and I don't know who they are.
Yeah, you're a little bit of a gamer.
Yeah, I play games occasionally.
I saw you have a PlayStation 4.
Xbox.
Oh, you have an Xbox.
Yeah. A lot of my friends from back home.
Okay, they're Xbox people.
Yeah.
See, Xbox isn't the cool one anymore.
It's not.
Although maybe if they come out with another Halo.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, folks. We're going to get going right away here. Brian wants to know, where are people at? I don't know if he means like, where are they from? But if you're listening live and you want to post in the comments what country you're from, where you're listening from, where you're watching from, that's cool.
I'm John. I'm recording from Chicago.
John's in Chicago. I should put a little map over where you're at and I'm at. I think you can do text overlays. So let's see if I can put a.
We need like an NBA style scoreboard or something.
Yeah, totally. How do I? Okay. See, this is bad. I shouldn't be doing this. This is what's called fucking around.
Procrastination.
Oh yeah, I got a big American flag. Oh yeah, this is awesome. Okay, so John's American. I'm in Canada. Oh, we got Thomas from Sweden.
Nice, Thomas.
See, automatically, people are gonna be into it because, if you're from anywhere other than Canada or the States, people are gonna be like, "Oh wow, that's so exotic." All right, so there's the Canadian flag. I made it a little bit smaller than the American flag, just because that seems to be the way Americans like it.
Yeah, I don't know, not these days. I saw a photo today of Donald Trump in a classroom with kids, and they were coloring the American flag in, and he was coloring it wrong. One of the stripes was blue. Like, what?
I gotta find this, Brian.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe it was Photoshop, but
Donald
it doesn't surprise me.
Oh, there's lots of Donald Trump coloring pages. You got to be careful. Donald Trump coloring. Is there anything here? Oh no, I can't find it quick. That's so funny. Oh, Twitter user points out wrong colors on him.
Yeah.
Here's what everyone's talking about. This is in the Washington Examiner. People. So can we actually see the? Here's the actual thing. Let's see if we can pull it up. This is so funny. He's coloring the wrong things, eh? I wonder if this is photoshopped though.
I don't know. It's on like slate.com, which is fairly.
That's
we're getting sidetracked again.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you ready to start the show?
Yeah,
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
I'm going to hit record here. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Build Your SaaS. This is the behind-the-scenes story of building a web app in 2018. I'm John Buda, a software engineer.
And I'm Justin Jackson. I'm a product and marketing guy. Follow along as we build Transistor.fm and Spots.fm. I feel like we got to change. I almost feel like we need to change that intro to follow along as we build stuff, SaaS together, or a web app together, or because the whole point is that, and actually this would be a good topic for a future show, but I have this theory that I think that you should keep your core product the core product, and if you have anything, you want to add like a big new feature, if that can be a product unto itself, I think you should make it a different product.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that's a good point, especially with Spots, which, we haven't built it. You have a prototype.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about it a lot.
Yeah. One day we'll build it.
Yeah.
We've so much is going on with Transistor, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We had an episode 3 or 4 episodes back called The Opposite of Bored Money. And actually, I should figure out what episode that is. I wish there was an easy way for me to figure out what number that was. Because the only way I can do it right now is I just go through. I think it's 23. Yeah, so nope. 22? Yes. So if you go to saas.transistor.fm/22, you'll see that episode. And then I turned it into an article on indie hackers that you always hate to see this as a blogger. When you post it on your site, it gets some attention, and then you post it somewhere else and it gets like way more attention. And so this thing was all over the place. But the comments were great. And there was a lot of commentary on Twitter as well. And so I thought we would go through some of that stuff together and, just maybe share some of these other points of view. I think one kind of characteristic of our show is that we are fine with being dummies in public.
Yeah. We're live right now in public. And learning something together, or just even being open to learning, is kind of a cornerstone, I think, of this Transistor values document that we're kind of creating as we go. Yeah. I mean, neither of us have the answers. I don't think hopefully we're not trying to come across as knowing exactly how to do this thing.
Yeah. I mean, that is my natural propensity, is to want to seem like I've got it all together and that I've got the answers. But
yeah, everyone does, and nobody actually does.
Nobody actually does. That's the beauty. And by the way, I just want to mention, actually, because along this idea of feedback, because some of this feedback, it's not quite harsh, but it's pretty blunt. But I wanted to mention that I got this incredible bit of feedback from Tyler Tringus. Let's just see here. And I think basically what he said is, he's like, what did he say? He's like, not sure why, but I woke up with some ideas for Transistor and I made a screencast because that's what one does these days, right? Anyways, no obligation to listen to me babble, but it's here if it's useful. And I just want to highlight that there's a lot of folks since we've launched that have tried to get phone calls with us. And that's fine if you want a phone call, but this just felt like such a gift that he was recording a video of himself and I didn't have to jump on a call and I could just watch it and be like, oh, okay. And now I want to jump on a call with him because he's given me a context and a background for what he wants to talk about.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really generous of him and of his time and of his thoughts.
Well, I later tweeted, I think one of the things that's so incredible about, I think specifically the bootstrapping culture, is that we've been really open and willing to share knowledge, willing to give advice, willing to, pay it forward, pay it backward. There's folks that are really eager and to help, and actually, even more so, are gunning for us. Not gunning for us. That's the wrong word, right? They're
rooting for us.
Rooting for us.
Yeah, gunning for us would be trying to destroy us. There's probably people who are doing that too.
I mean, there's people trying to destroy us, but they're rooting for us. And you know what we didn't mention last time? We got our first Patreon sponsor.
Oh yeah, we did.
We have a secret Patreon. Actually, if you folks can find this, folks that are listening to Build Your SaaS, if you can find our Patreon link, because we quietly rolled this out and didn't tell anybody about it, and all of a sudden we had someone supporting us $10 a month. And for most Transistor customers, if they had 2 of those, they would pay for their account.
Yeah.
So
that feature isn't live in Overcast yet, is it?
No. He made a big. It's live in Anchor.
Yeah.
And some
I wonder
others,
I wonder if Marco mentioned that and then he just wanted to give some heads up and have them develop it.
Yeah.
Build it out.
Well, I think he's going to do. I think his development cycles are just a lot slower.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to the topic at hand. So I thought we would go through some of these reactions.
So before we go into the reactions, do you want to...
Oh, yeah. Should I talk a bit about...
Well, do you want to, I don't know, for the audience and for me, for yourself, like clarify what your thinking is on the term bootstrapping? I think there's a lot of different...
Well, and this is kind of the whole reason for the article was I'm like bootstrapping. So bootstrapping means self-funding your business from revenues, or at least that's one definition. Mm-hmm. For most folks, it means not taking venture capital, not taking angel funding. It seems, and like many kind of, it's a little bit of a religion. And so like many religions, it has different people have different definitions of what fits in, right?
Right.
Some people say you can't even take money from friends and family. Then you've taken investment and you're no longer a part of the Bootstrappers Club. Some folks say, it's trying to start something small and without a lot of cost and validating that there's really a business there. And then just, as you increase cash flows, you put that money you earn from customers back in the business. You keep doing that over and over and over again until you get to a sustainable level, and then you start paying yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think that's pretty clear?
Yeah, that's what yeah.
Anyone in the live chat have anything?
That's how I feel about it.
Different definition? Let us know. So that's kind of the definition, and the poster child for bootstrapping, I think, for most folks, is Basecamp.
Yeah.
I can't think of another. They were the ones that really popularized the term, as far as I know.
Yeah, I think they were the first ones that I became aware of anyway.
They've definitely been the most vocal. When they wrote Getting Real, which was their first book, a lot of people don't know about Getting Real. This is the book that like blew my mind. I read it in 2008, and it's called Getting Real: The Smarter, Faster, Easier Way to Build a Successful Web Application. Mm-hmm. And the cornerstone of that book was build less, fund it yourself, less mass, lower your cost of change. These are all just titles from the book. It's a series of essays. And, a lot of people in the software business read this, and it kind of became their business Bible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if it was more or less a reaction, well, unintentionally a reaction to like the .com bubble that burst in 2000 and sort of, just a rethinking of that, of how to build a business online.
That's actually really good context, because there's always context for all these things that emerge.
Yeah.
And the context was, so they launched Basecamp in 2004, but the .com bubble was in 2001?
2000. 99, 2000, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 2001.
Yeah, I think it really kind of came, roughly from 95 to 2000 was the period of...
But I think it took a while for it to recover.
Yeah.
Because I had a hard time finding work during that time.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because, I was a geeky kid, but once I graduated from college, instead of going into computers, I went into the snowboard industry.
Okay.
And so I kind of missed this.
Yeah, well, I was in school when it happened, but I had an internship in Kalamazoo, Michigan, in my college town for a summer at this, it was like an advertising firm, digital. I mean, it was basically an agency to some extent, but they did a lot of custom applications. And during the height of it, they, moved downtown, built this amazing new office. And then I think within a year they were out of business because they just lost all their clients.
Okay.
So they weren't venture backed, but all their clients just dried up. And I don't think that company exists anymore. And then after I graduated, I mean, this is 2003. Google is still super new. I mean, it's 3 years old at that point, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I forget exactly the timeline, but this is, after the .com bust and all these companies that had venture capital just went out of business because they weren't actually making any money.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as finding work in web design and programming, there wasn't much. I mean, I looked around and there were like a handful of companies, but nobody was hiring. There were small agencies that kind of were started, I don't know, through friends or something like that. But there weren't big companies that you see these days, hiring people out of college.
Yeah.
It's like your options were like Microsoft or Google or not even Apple at that point.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So I just went off and did my own thing and started building websites for people and made no money.
And was there a feeling of it's just hard to make money? It's hard to make a living doing this computer thing?
Yeah, but I think you could see the light at the end of the tunnel. This was the beginning of like the web standards movement, and you could see these people who were gaining popularity and kind of paving the way for something.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a fascinating time to be involved in.
Well,
it's a lot of people teaching these new technologies and writing books online, and it was a pretty small community at that point. But you could see where it could go, I think.
Yeah. Well, and within that context, that's when Basecamp is a design agency at this point. They started getting quite a bit of attention for their blog, Signal versus Noise, and all of a sudden they decide to launch this new application called Basecamp in 2004. And, things were still it was like web stuff, like Salesforce had just kind of launched around that time, but it was unclear whether this was going to work. And Salesforce had gone the traditional route and had raised a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so 37 Signals launches Basecamp, and it gets a lot of attention. It starts, off the bat, it's doing pretty good. And then they write this really opinionated book called Getting Real, which is all about basically saying whatever Salesforce just did, don't do that. You've got to bootstrap it. You got to make it simple, Yeah.
When I became aware of Basecamp, I mean, the light kind of went off when you sort of did some back of the napkin math, and you were like, well, they're selling this for, I don't remember what they started at. They had multiple plans, right? 10, 20, $50 a month. And then you multiplied that by, 1,000 customers or 10,000 customers. And you were like, wow, this is,
yes,
like, they can make this work pretty easily.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's, I don't know if you've ever I always keep Solver open on my machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a math app. And so I'll always be like, okay, $39 times 1,000, times 100. Well, that's already $3,900 a month. And then if you have a $99 plan and you get 20 people, well, now you're already up to almost $6,000 a month. And then if you decide, oh, you know what, I'm going to add a $49 plan in there too, and you get, and this is all just make-believe money, right? But you can start to see how it can all add up. And I think a lot of people were kind of doing that. They were like,
yeah, I think so. And they were seeing how it could be sustainable.
Yes. So that's the background. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. And the one thing I talk about in this episode and in this blog post, which is called Bootstrapper's Paradox, is that story that we've been telling ourselves is not entirely correct, because Basecamp launched in 2004, stopped taking clients in 2005, and then, but we're still serving clients, right? They were still doing some consulting. And then in 2006, they did something that a lot of people have ignored, which is Jeff Bezos bought shares from each of them personally. And DHH has this article called "The Day I Became a Millionaire." Because they haven't publicized what that deal was, but
right.
The day I became a millionaire is the day that Jeff Bezos bought some shares from him. Right?
Right, because it valued the company at a certain amount or whatever.
That's right. And so that changes things quite a bit in terms of, and the reason I say it changes things, it's a lot of people in this bootstrapping religion have said, nope, this is how you do it. You start, we've got all these cheap, platform as a service things we can use like AWS, and it's so much cheaper to start a web company now. And all you have to do is you just, evenings and weekends, you just build this thing, you get some customers, and then from your profits, you build it up, and then you've got a business. Just like 37 Signals.
Right.
But the truth is, that's not what they did.
Right.
And that's not to say that that purest form of bootstrapping can't work, but I just thought it was interesting because I think part of our tension is that I'm self-employed, and so I don't have any kind of insurance money, and I have to make a living from whatever businesses I'm doing. And so part of that is MegaMaker, and that's been giving me a pretty good living in the past couple of years. But now that I'm focusing so much more on Transistor, I'm kind of feeling like, man, I just wish we had 100, 200, 300 grand in the bank so we could, focus on this.
Yeah, and whether or not Basecamp needed to do that at the time, I don't know if they really needed the money, but it certainly eased their anxieties, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine? Like, and we've played this game before, but especially in that scenario, because this is not an investor that's going to be like on the board or an investor that's looking for a 10x return. Bezos bought those shares and he was just interested in supporting these guys.
Right.
So it's play money for him. He's like, yeah, let's, I want to buy, whatever it was. It might have been 0.005% of the company. And he's just like, I just want to, it was probably, I'm guessing 1 to 5% or something. I don't know. But, and let's just say, maybe they're doing super good and they're doing a couple $1 million in revenue by that point. But if you've got, they had a team of 5-7 people or something. $2 million is pretty good, but it's not like you're not in the clear at that point, even with $2 million in revenue. 7 people, 7 people at $100,000 each. Who knows if that's what they were spending, but that's $700,000. And then other, expenses on top of that, you usually add 30% per employee. So let's say their costs were $910,000 a year. So, maybe they were clearing $1 million at that point every year, but nothing was certain. And then Bezos comes along and says, how would you fellas like to take some money off the table? Now, to be fair, we actually did get some response after I wrote this article, and we haven't responded to any of these. But I'd say 2 or 3 people came out of the woodwork and said, we're not Bezos level money, but we might be interested in doing something similar.
Yeah, we haven't really talked to anyone yet. We could.
I think one thing that's holding me back is it's nothing against these people because it seems very generous that they even want to talk to us. But when you're in our position, your time is so precious and there are so many people that want to jump on the phone with us. And it really is hard to pick and choose.
It is. It is. Even replying and then setting up a call and all this stuff takes time. And even recording this call today. Yeah. I obviously love talking to you, but I haven't gotten much done on Transistor this week.
Yeah.
Right? So this is an hour and a half that I'm not working on it.
You're just evaluating the value of this right now. You're like, I don't know.
But no, it's obviously valuable.
Good catch.
Yep.
By the way, you folks on Periscope that are giving us all these hearts, I love that. I see the hearts. Thanks for giving us the hearts. Those are great. We got. I just want to mention this. This person here on Twitch was like, the Twitch name is Official Fasten. Says, this is so random. I'm a big fan of Art of Product, Build Your SaaS, and Startups for the Rest of Us. So those are all podcasts, and ours is in there, obviously. And then he says, I was browsing Twitch before bed, and I found this. So he was just like on Twitch, and he's like, what the heck? Build Your SaaS is live? Okay, well.
Wow.
I just noticed that my camera is a little bit behind here. My system is struggling to keep up with me. Okay, so that's the background. And I just thought that was interesting that, the poster child for bootstrapping, the pure form of bootstrapping, took this money and what that would have meant. And so another kind of keystone of the post is this, and I'll show it on screen here for those folks at home, but I used forecast.barometrics.com to figure out, okay, and actually maybe I'll just do this live because there's a couple ways of doing this. I'll show you the first way I did it. And then, so our starting MRR right now, I think we're almost at 1,200. Actually, let's just look. Where is it?
I guess it depends where you look. Like
1,175. Yeah, let's just use that one.
Okay.
So 1,175. And I initially calculated it using this exponential growth type. You can choose linear, which means, how much revenue are you going to add each month? Or you can do it exponentially. And I was just like, initially I said, well, if we start at, 1,175 a month, and we grow 10% a month. Oh, what's going on here? How long will it take for us to get to $20,000 a month? And I chose 20,000 because that roughly feels like the time where you and I could both focus on this full time.
Yeah.
And using that model, it would take, if we start at 1,175 a month, it would take, let's see here. How come this isn't working?
Because you're doing it live.
Because I'm doing it live. It's not letting me type in another number here. Projection time. You can't go past 60 months. It won't let me go past 60 months. But, in the original calculation, it was like, it's going to be at least 60 months, 5 years before we even get to the point where we can do this, right?
Right.
So I included that in the post, and then we had some commentary. So something one person said, Natalie from Wildbit, who I think is incredible, she says, I think you're highly underestimating those numbers. You should see a much better, faster growth rate in the early days. 10% off $1,500 a month is a $15 plan. So hopefully you'll charge more, have more customers. I would argue 5 years to $21,000 is not something worth pursuing at all. What do you think about that?
That's pretty. It's a pretty blunt statement. I mean, so she's saying she thinks it'll grow faster than that.
Yeah, she thinks
because of the early days, and if it actually took 5 years to get there, it's not even worth.
Doing
it.
Yeah, she's saying two things. One, right. She's saying, I think if you fellas are doing things right, and you have a product that is worth pursuing, it's going to grow faster than that.
Right.
And number two, she's saying, if there's a product that you're working on that's going to take you 5 years to get to $21,000 in MRR, it's probably not worth pursuing. Pretty blunt, but again, I appreciated it because I think, I don't want people to sugarcoat things to us. I want to know the real truth, right? We're not living in a fantasy world. This is our real life. By the way, John, if you're in the doc and you're having a hard time seeing the whole tweet, you have to hover over it in paper to see the whole tweet.
Oh, I think I see it all.
The other thing that Josh Pigford mentioned, so Josh is the one that built this forecasting tool. In the comments, he said there's a few other things you can do. So he said, if you do nothing else except reduce churn from 5% down to 3% in that scenario I just presented, your runway to hitting $21,000 in MRR goes from 60 months down to 40. So the problem with all this what if math is it's pretty easy to change numbers around, but it's interesting.
But it's actionable items where you can try to think of ideas of reducing churn. Mm-hmm. How do you do that? Do you offer discounts? I haven't really thought about it, but I'm sure there are ways.
Yeah, exactly. And he says another suggestion is to use linear growth instead of exponential. as it's a number that's realistically attainable long term and gives you a much better estimate of where you could be in the next 12 to 24 months. So let's play that game, all right? Let's go back to the forecast tool, and I'm going to switch it from exponential growth, which says, every month we're going to add 10%, to linear. And the growth curve looks a lot different here. So starting MRR, $1,175. Let's say we could add, let's say $500 a month. If we added $500 a month, how far would we get in, let's say 24 months? Let's always say 2 years. Well, and with 5% churn. Well, in that case, 24 months, we would be at $7,423 in 2 years. Okay.
Yep.
Whatever. Okay, that's, kind of interesting, whatever. Let's say let's go up again. Let's say we could hit $1,000 in new MRR every month. Well, in 24 months, we would be at $14,000 per month. We're getting pretty close there. That's like, okay, in 2 years,
So that's including churn. Because, if it's $1,000 of new revenue every month, would that be 24,000? That's including churn.
That's including churn of 5%. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it again with $1,500 growth per month. Well, in 2 years, we would be at $21,583 per month. So again, these are all just games I'm playing, but if we wanted to hit in a year, we wanted to get to, let's say, no matter what, we've got to hit, $20,000 in a year. Then we would need to add $2,100 of new revenue every month.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Now, that could be quite a bit, but it gives the nice thing about playing the what if game is you get a sense of the different paths available to you.
Right.
And it helps you to be realistic. We know, if we kind of keep trucking along at what we're doing right now, I think reasonably it'll probably take us 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if we say, okay, well, good work, boys. You launched. You've got some customers. Good work, but that's not enough. You're going to have to do more if you're going to hit some targets.
Yeah, and I think that's where. Well, I think it's where a couple things come in. Obviously, we have to do more outreach, more advertising, whatever that may be. But also, I think that's where our other ideas might come in. Mm-hmm. Complementary apps that also make money.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a lot more work.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a different audience, you can sort of grow them separately, even if they're somewhat connected.
Yeah, exactly. And I think our other thought with that play is that if there is one that's maybe not growing as fast, we can sell it too. It becomes an asset that's saleable.
Because I think we knew going into this, and I think we've talked about it a few times on the show, we never really expected Transistor to be like this out of the gates massive hit hockey stick growth, because you have to want to switch, or you have to have a show you want to start.
That's right.
And then stick with it.
Yes.
For a while. So
yeah.
I think we're right in that. I think we're right in assuming that.
Yeah.
Just have to keep that in mind as we try to figure out how to get new customers.
Yeah, exactly. Two things we're considering. I think we can be transparent about this. How long have we been going, by the way? What are we at now? Oh, we've been live for 52 minutes. Okay, so we'll wind things down here in a bit. But here's two things we're considering for Transistor that I think we can share. The first, we don't have to go into details on this, but we launched with these plans. And if if you haven't listened to our episodes on choosing pricing, we've got a series on that, and they're really good about how we arrived at, basically we have 3 plans, $19, $49, and $99 a month. And they are all based around number of downloads per month, 5,000, 15,000, and 45,000 respectively. And I mean, we needed a place to start, and so that's where we started, right? But one thing, now we've got real data about people who have wanted to switch, real data about people who did switch, and that might be something we can play with, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've had some mild concern from potential customers who I think are coming from platforms where they pay one price for unlimited, but it might be one price per show, whereas we offer limited shows. So they might come with this massively popular show and be like, wow, that's going to really, like, what is the benefit really there for me to switch for, X amount of dollars extra a month?
Yeah, exactly. What would our show be, by the way? We would be, I can show this live. So this is in April we had 11,600 downloads. May we had 10,000. June we had almost 9,000.
So we're going down.
July we went back up, 9,241.
Yeah.
And August, we still have a chance of breaking the record. Folks, please share the podcast so we get more downloads. We're at 8,266 right now.
Okay.
And so we would still be in starter, but we would be trending towards the middle plan, which is 15,000 downloads. But, I mean, if we add another show that goes crazy, then,
right.
And I think... the thing is, podcasting, it really depends on your audience and your shows. Some shows get so many downloads that, like I've got friends that are like, I want to switch to you, but I'm doing 20,000 downloads. I have a friend that's saying I'm doing, what's he at? 90,000 downloads per month. And so it's, we want to be able to serve some of these folks, and it's tricky, right?
Yep.
So that's one thing we're thinking about, is switching our pricing. And I was just imagining, what would it be like if all of a sudden it was just a no-brainer? It's like you've got 3 shows on another platform, but you're paying per show. So let's say you're paying $15 per month per show, but you've got 3 shows. Well, now that's $45. Imagine if it was like you could have unlimited show, and every time you think about starting another show, you're like, I can't, because it'll cost me more money.
$15. I don't know if it's going to be popular.
Yeah, but imagine if let's say you're doing, between the 3 shows you've got, you're doing 15,000 downloads, and you're like, I want to add another show. If our download ranges were like, I get unlimited shows plus this many downloads per month, and it was just a big enough number that people were like, okay, no brainer, I'm switching. That's kind of the feel I want. I want people to feel like, okay. And if someone does have a crazy show, like a 80,000 downloader, why did I say that? An 80,000 downloader.
The mythical 80,000 downloader.
If you've got a show that's doing 80,000 downloads, I want it to be, maybe you're only paying less, maybe you're paying whatever, but you want our features, you want our analytics, you want our stuff. And so you're like, okay, I'll go to the $99 plan. It'll give me all the downloads I want. Plus I'll be able to add new shows. Plus I get all of the other benefits that we're adding. And in that $99 tier, we might start saying, this is just for the $99 folks. So that's one thing we could do, right?
Yep. Yeah. There's a lot of room to play, I think, with the pricing.
The other thing we could do, let's see if I can do some live coding on our website right now, is we've got a menu that says, here's your dashboard, here's the episodes where you add episodes, analytics. We have a team section where you can add. This is something a lot of people don't know is you can add, like, theoretically, if you were a podcast network and you wanted to, just put a bunch of shows under your Transistor account, you could do that because each show you create, you can add people with their own logins to that show. So a really kind of powerful use case there if you are, you're thinking about creating a show. But I'm just going to add a new item here. I'm going to see if I can do this live. And then we have a menu called social and apps, and then we have an item called website. So if you want us to host your website. But we've been wanting to add a new one either called ads or promotions or something like that. I'm just going to call it promotions for right now. And so in that menu, we want to add some things, and this might be a good gateway to Spots.
Yeah.
Is being able to do two things that I think are going to be super powerful. Number one, say this person has sponsored this episode, so logo, link, all that stuff. And we've got some cool ideas for some things there. But another idea that we had is the ability to choose a bunch of episodes and say, I want to automatically insert some audio at the beginning of these episodes just for this promotion. And so they can upload a 30-second clip. We back up their old file. We automatically prepend the new 30-second audio clip. And it's something like, hey folks, Justin Jackson here, and just want to let you know about our Transistor mega summer sale. Go to transistor.fm/sale. And that just inserts at the beginning of the episode during that promotion. September 21st comes along. I think that's the end of summer. That comes along, and then we go, oh, okay, promotion's over. All you have to do is click, promotion done, and our system automatically reverts all those episodes back to where they were. So I think that might be something we could add soonish as a gateway to Spots even, because I don't want to build Spots, which is going to be our ad platform, a separate app, and not have all of kind of the stuff that we want to be able to pipe into Transistor from Spots. It'd be good to have that figured out beforehand. Yeah, what do you think about that idea?
That's a good idea. Just come up with that. I like that.
That's why we do these calls.
I'm going to add that to the list and then ask you a question at the end of the show.
Like offline?
No.
Oh, okay.
I can do it online.
And along with that comes the idea from Adam Wathen, which is similar, which is having a placeholder in the show notes for promotions.
Yeah.
So in the same way that you can insert audio during a promotion, you can also insert a placeholder in your show notes. And as soon as the promotion's done, whoop, it all, disappears from, maybe 100 episodes.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. The one question I have there is, I don't know the answer to this. How often and I guess how do the most podcasting listening apps re-index old RSS feeds and change the show notes? Right? I know that if the audio is hosted with Transistor, then it's always going to pull the latest audio file from our servers if you haven't downloaded it yet.
Yeah.
Show notes, though, is another question. I don't know how often they like update things like images and show notes, and places like Spotify actually download your audio and keep it on their servers. Are they going to update their file with the new file with the ad, or vice versa?
This is great. Anyway. This is a great question. I was going to see if I could figure it out on the fly, but Overcast's web app doesn't show complete show notes as far as I can tell. Let me see if I can find, what's the other one? What's the other one? Pocket Casts, because they have a web player.
Right.
Because we could test
I know Apple pulls the feed pretty often, and they do change artwork and things like that, but I don't know show notes and things. I'm not sure.
Well, we can test this because we just did we just did the that Patreon integration that updated all of our show notes, didn't we? Or is
That's
that
true.
Was that retroactive or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
So let's just see here. I'm scrolling. Yep. Okay, so here I'll show this on screen for the folks at home, but I'll go back. Our Voltron needs fuel. If you look at the show notes here, support this podcast on Patreon is already live. So I'm guessing the podcatchers re-index quite often.
Yeah. Probably.
And the I'm trying to think if there's another one online. Does Castbox have a web player?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But so I think the answer to that question is most of them re-index quite a bit.
I like that idea though. I think it's a nice in between between a lot of these services that do the dynamic ad insertion.
Yes. Yeah.
Which can kind of screw with podcast players and stuff.
Yeah. By the way, there's a great episode with Marco Arment on the Wolf Den podcast where he talks about all this stuff. I'll put it in the show notes. If you folks haven't listened to it yet, definitely do that. I'm just checking on Castbox. Yeah, Castbox also has our Patreon.
Okay.
You know what's interesting on the Castbox web player though? They've disabled all of our links.
Huh.
What's with these people? Oh,
I don't want you to leave the site.
I've never even noticed that. They disable your links.
Huh.
Interesting. So, yeah, those are a few ideas I had. Anything else we want to talk about this episode? Did you get to say your thing you wanted to ask?
No, I didn't. There was one tweet in here that we didn't cover, which was interesting. We don't really have to talk about it long, but it was something about things like traditional business loans not being available for businesses like us. I think Natalie was talking about that. Where
and actually,
and that's interesting because you can, the way you used to start a business is you go to a bank and be like, I want to start a business.
Yeah.
I would need this much money. Can I get a loan?
Yeah.
And there's no strings attached to that. Obviously, you have to pay it back, but the bank's not going to be on your board. You're not getting a percentage of your company.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, who knows? That might be an avenue we could take. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they are available.
Yeah. Natalie's comment was that they're a lot more difficult to get. And actually, if you click through on that tweet, which I'll try to include in the show notes, there's a great back and forth between Natalie and Jason Cohen from WP Engine. And then Indie VC gets in there too. Bryce from Indie VC gets in there and says, the Indie VC got mentioned again, basically. So Jason Cohen says, there are middle ground funds just starting like Indie VC. Again, very small in quantity, but perhaps a good solution to the problem of reasonable bootstrapped financing. Mm-hmm. And so, and then Jason Cohen also says, bank loans would be interesting. Problem is high failure rate and less predictable early on than coffee shop in well-trafficked area. But SaaS is more predictable later.
Right.
So he's saying, part of the problem is that once you get to, it's not like a coffee shop in that at the beginning, you can't, the failure rates of a SaaS are much higher.
Right.
But yeah. It is interesting. And I think, the one thing we haven't talked about yet is this, what's it called? It's called, what's it called? I think I replied to it. I can never think of it when I'm, hold on, let me see if I can find it in my, because I know I asked Tyler about it. Republic.co, which is kind of a Kickstarter version of funding a business, right? Like using all of the crowdfunding stuff to allow people with as little as $10 to invest in private startups.
Right.
And this is an interesting idea. So like Radio Public, for example, who's in the podcasting space, it's a podcast marketplace. They've raised a bunch of money doing this. How much have they raised? Let's see here. They've raised 100, well, not a ton, but 130,000. Their goal was 25,000. So 130,000 from 314 investors. It's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah, kind of is. Yeah, they clearly, this is clearly inspired by Kickstarter, design-wise.
Yeah, inspired by Kickstarter and using the same legislation.
Yeah.
So this is like, this is saying like, here is one way of doing it, that we can use the existing legislation, get much smaller investors. And I think the idea is you get paid out. How does this work? I got to go back now. But I think you earn a return if the startup succeeds. So I think that means that you get paid dividends. If your money, if this company makes money, then there's like a pool that they put all the money into. Let's see. Many startups fail in investment, but some if they get acquired or IPO at a valuation higher than the one time of your investment, you will earn a return. Oh, okay. So maybe this whole idea is that it would only work if you get acquired. Yeah. Yeah, this is something I think I'd like to look into a bit more, but another interesting model. All right. Well, folks, if you, this is another episode in the bag. I can't remember
the question I had was for you.
Oh,
what should I work on after this, or for the channel?
Oh,
whoever's listening.
Oh yeah, for whoever's live.
Here's what I was going to work on.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
We have a lot of people who have requested Markdown support in their show notes, along with HTML. So supporting both of those. There is this YouTube integration that I kind of started on that I could work on, where you can OAuth your Transistor account to your Google account and auto upload your episodes to YouTube. We'll convert it to a video format.
Yeah.
There is this leaving a voicemail feature we've talked about a few times, where you can leave a voicemail for a show within your browser. You can just record an audio and it would upload it to the show hosts.
Yeah.
And they can listen to it. There's the thing you just talked about, which we haven't really planned, so I probably shouldn't start on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's what Seth Louie in the comments says: auto upload to YouTube sounds like a win in his books.
Yeah.
He's probably right. I think that the Markdown editor would be the biggest win for our current users.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that the YouTube uploader would be the sexiest win for our current users. And I think the voicemail feature would be the sexiest win for non-users, people that are thinking about signing up.
Yeah. That one I think still needs a little bit of research, but
yeah. So I think the YouTube one, because it feels like you could get that one out pretty fast.
I think so, yeah. That'd be a fun experiment.
Yeah. Anyone else? Well, after the recorded show, we'll keep the live chat going for a bit. So if you have ideas on what Jon should work on, you can post those in the comments right now. Folks, if you're listening on Breaker, please leave us a comment in the comments box. You can also do that on Castbox. And if you haven't yet, leave us a rating and review on iTunes. We love those too. And we will see you next Tuesday. Cool. All right. So, yeah, man, I got really laggy here.
Oh.
Sorry, folks at home. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just...
Man, that was a much bigger file size.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like 1.5 gigs. With the maximum audio quality. I wonder what that sounds like.
Nice. Our audio is going to be incredible.
Are we still broadcasting live?
Yeah, we're still broadcasting live.
Okay.
One thing, Seth Louie wants to know if he says, would love to get your thoughts on chatmod.io with our MRR. I'm not sure what he means, if he already has his revenue public somewhere, but Seth, if you have it public somewhere, we could take a look at it, or if you have a question. I know my video isn't matching the sound. It's because I've got a lag on my side. I think I'm just running too much stuff from my poor little machine.
It's a nice looking site, ChatMod.
John likes it here. Actually, yeah, maybe I'll bring it up and then I can give my machine a break here. Hold on. Chatmod.io. Let's do chat. I mean, the other thing is Chrome is not super great at memory management.
No. Well, I also have 3 windows open with probably 30 tabs each.
Yeah, I'm just going to...
Not great.
I'm going to take some of these out, and then I'll open up chatmod.io. Oh, see, my machine's already running faster. I'm going to close this one here. All right, so this is chatmod, and actually I'm just going to take my overlay off for a second. Oh, and there's Seth right there. On his drift.
Yeah.
Hey, Seth. This is like breaking the fourth wall, isn't it? Yeah. So, Seth, are you doing live? Are you doing but public revenue? What question do you have? Here, I'll ask you in your own thing. What question did you have about MRR? Oh, on Indie Hackers. Okay, so let's check it out. Indie Hackers products. ChatMod? I'm just guessing what it is there. While that's going, I'm going to save this so I don't lose it. Justin audio. Save. Oh, look at John. You already got your sound files up.
I'm just exporting, yeah. Before I forget and close that thing without saving it.
Yeah, that would be no good.
I wonder if I...
Product.chatmod. Okay. So let's go here. And wow, you're already at one. You're beating us, man. You're beating us, Seth. What's your problem? You're doing great. So, I mean, to forecast, I was just using the forecast tool, forecast.baremetrics.com. And the advice that other folks gave me was, so your starting MRR would be 1.8. What is it specifically? What? It says it's even more than 1.8. It says you're at 2,461. 2,461. And so, he's saying it's 3,000. Okay. So if you're at 3,000, then, and you grow linearly, if you grow, $2,000 a month or $500 a month, whatever you're growing at, I don't know what you're growing at, you can put those numbers in this live forecaster and it'll say, okay, well, in 12 months, if you have 5% churn, your MRR will be 6,000. And so the advice I got was use linear growth as opposed to exponential, when you're forecasting, and play also with churn. So if you could decrease churn from 5% to 3%, for example, you would be at $7,000 in 12 months. So yeah, this is just like a cool way of forecasting revenue and saying, how long is it going to take to get to a certain amount. That's so that's what we were talking about. And the comment from Natalie was, she just feels like if it takes 5 years to get to $20,000, then it's probably not a business worth pursuing, which I found quite, actually, I mean, it's blunt, but I found it quite helpful to have that kind of, like, okay, well, if this is, if this isn't something worth pursuing, we should go somewhere else. We should do something else.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long haul. 5 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm. See, now my video and my audio is matching. I think I got to figure out what I can actually run all at once. But I think one thing I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to get, this is a little bit geeky, but I mean, if you guys could see my machine right now, I'm going to show you guys. So this is what's plugged in on one side. And and then on the other side, I'm plugged in there. So I've got this is the internet. This is my display, my second display. This is my microphone, earphones, power. And then over here is the USB web app. And my understanding is that each of these things takes some CPU cycles to run. So if I'm doing that plus I'm broadcasting live, it's just too much for this little machine. Jon, when can we buy me an iMac Pro?
Oh, let's check our MRR. I don't know. 5 years.
That's what I need. I need something more juice than I've got right now.
I know.
But so one thing I could do is this microphone, which is actually, this is something that got recommended to us, is we need to do a kind of a getting started guide. But this microphone here, if you don't have this one at home, it's the ATR 2100. The great thing about it is it's about $50 on Amazon, but it has USB and XLR. So I could run that through a mixer that would record my audio into just a secondary thing, make sure I get great audio from the mic on my side, and then I could pass it in the audio into my machine. Why is that better? No, I'm thinking about, I guess it doesn't really help me, except, I was thinking that the way it might help me is that, because this mic isn't powered, and so I'm wondering if it's just taking more juice to run it through this USB.
Could be.
But maybe if I'm running a powered mixer, I don't know. I got to talk to Chris.
That's what I'm on, and we'll see how this thing sounds, but
does your laptop sound like it's going to take off like a rocket?
No, it's pretty hot though. Skype will do that.
Yeah.
But you were doing a lot more, and I think you have a slightly older machine, but
yeah.
It's not going crazy yet.
Yeah, see, I think I would need, I don't know, to make it all work. I think I have to figure out a way of doing it. Well, yes. I mean, this is one thing. You can't see my screen, Jon, but the Skype helper is running 179% of my CPU right now.
That's a lot.
So actually, I wonder if that's the call recorder or something. And then Ecamm Live is running quite a bit of it too. And then there's some sort of VT decoder. I don't know what this is, but it's running a lot of cycles too. So yeah, I think I just got to figure out what all these things are and why they're, running. Like, what is VT decoder? I don't know. But I mean, I was running quite a bit. And then, as soon as you've got more than, one instance of Chrome running and one bit, some multiple tabs, it really, like as soon as I removed all those tabs, my video went back to normal. So who knows? But we do have a Patreon, folks. If you want to support the iMac Pro fund for Justin, then
we're up to half of a USB dongle per month.
That's just depressing.
Yeah.
That we should just buy a dongle just because now that we've got it. Cool. Anyone else in the live chat? If there's anything else you want to ask, now's the time. But yeah, John, I think that, to be honest, I think we should do, if you feel like you could get the YouTube thing done pretty quick, then
that one's a little more fun.
I think that one's a good win. And then the editor is going to be like in terms of utility, that's going to be such a big win for folks that are struggling right now.
Some other analytics related stuff I need to do too, but
anyway, maybe just do the boring analytics stuff and then the YouTube stuff, because then we have something fun to announce too, which is good.
Yeah, we'll see where I get.
Part of this is we're doing this for ourselves too.
Right.
It's not just for it's got to be good for us too. Cool.
Exactly. All right,
folks, I'm going to end this live stream. Thanks for being here. I'm going to show. You'll see the outro right away. But yeah, if you have any more questions, John Buddha on Twitter, and I'm MI Justin. Oh, James Van Dyne just joined from Japan. He says it's 7 a.m. Sunday here in Japan.
Oh, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, man. Thanks for being here. We're just ending now, but we're glad you're here. Yeah, James, you got to set up those notifications. Oh, I guess it's 7 a.m. You just woke up. I was going to say, you got to set the notifications. You got to click that little, on YouTube, you got to click the little notification icon so you get notified whenever we go live. Okay, see you, folks.
Cool. All right. I don't think there's anything we really need to talk about privately. Yeah. We'll see how that podcast ends up. I feel like we were sort of having more of a discussion than a show. I don't know. I mean, I guess. All right. Cool. No, I think it'll be good. I liked it. I feel like there's near the